Hey everybody, let's get this going. Hello everyone, I'm glad to be here together with you. I'm Rob Booker and we're going to talk about robots. Originally, I resisted trading with robots. I thought the robots are probably going to take over the earth. They're probably going to destroy mankind, which is really sad. And I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to hand over my trading to robots. I thought a lot of things. I thought, wow, you know, a computer can never do as good as the human mind. The human mind is the biggest computer ever. Well, the human mind is also full of dangerous chemicals, and the human mind is also full of really, really bad subversive emotions, just terrible, terrible, terrible things. And there's just no reason to let the human mind do some of our trading. And so I became intensely interested in handing over some of the work to robots to take out some of the emotion and to overcome some of those raging greed-based chemicals that were coursing through my veins, ruining my life. You know, like, I didn't want to be subject to all of the problems that came with discretionary trading. And that's not to say discretionary trading is bad. I think you have to learn how to trade in a discretionary fashion first. But I think that what happens to so many traders is that their emotions start to take over. And I've said this before, and it's a really controversial point of view. And I cared for like 30 seconds about who I offended with this, but I'm going to say it again. I have never in my life, never in my life sat down with and looked at the live trading account history for anyone ever who is trading for a living and using robots. I mean, trading for a living and trading with discretionary trading stuff. Ever. Never. I've met people that do it with robots, but I've never met a discretionary trader ever who showed me their account and who was also trading for a living. Now, I've seen plenty of things online, and I get a lot of pushback on this. A lot of people get mad at me when I say this, but I'm talking about people who have gone for more than 2 years paying their bills and living off of their income as a discretionary trader. I just don't see it anymore. Back in the day, I think it was possible, especially when we were all trading the news or trading the magic carry trade, and both of those things were so systematic they were practically robotic. So today I want to talk about robots. It's not for everybody. Listen, it's not for everybody. I'm not going to be offended if you don't want to talk about this. It's cool. Just turn off the video and come back later. But for the next 17 minutes, I'm going to talk to you about why I love trading with robots. Robots are not about full automation. Full automation would mean the robots you never check on the robots, and you never look at them, and you never, ever, ever maintain them, and they are just running your account all the time. And I think that's a little bit of a pipe dream. What the robots really do for us is semi-automation, meaning they do all of the things that most traders are really terrible at. Taking a precise entry, sitting in front of the charts and waiting for the exact entry point. The precise exit, not holding on to losing trades too long. Closing winners and taking the money off the table. These are all things that humans do a terrible job of, unless you're some kind of robotic weirdo. These are all things that I want the robot to do. Now, there are some things that a human can do and should be, like in the same way that if you own a restaurant, you should manage your employees. And you should also know how to make the food. Doesn't mean you have to do it all the time yourself, but you ought to know how to do it. But you don't have to do it all the time. You don't have to. Right now, today, I'm not running the cameras. Justin came in. I put a job opening out on the internet. Justin came in. Hey, Justin.
Hello.
And he's running the cameras. Why do I have to run the cameras if Justin's better at it than I am? Where's the benefit of holding on to that pride? And so many of us, me first, we were so prideful about letting go of the entry and letting go of the exit and letting a robot do things, and it was hard to admit it. And then I just was like, I'm just being a baby about all of this stuff. Why not just make more money? Why not make it more consistently? So in today's presentation, I want to talk about how much time does it take to really get good at robotic trading? What software are we going to use? How hard is it to learn? And how much money can I make? And all week long, I'm going to continue and follow up with these questions, and we're going to get more and more and more specific about all of this stuff. Now, I have a robot class, and most of you that are here in this presentation, you have access to this in your members library. And if you're a member and you don't have access to it yet, you will have access to it this week. And this is what it looks like. It's the Robot Certification Program. This is the main place to learn how to do robot stuff. This is where I teach people how to use the robots. We're going to get to all your questions. I'm super happy that they're coming through. If you're watching the recording on YouTube, you can always ask a question in the comments. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, light a candle for me. Anyway, okay, how much time does it take? It takes about 30 days to become good at robotic trading. We're first going to use Metatrader 4, but in the very near future, this year, I am launching what I call the Booker Algo Suite, which is a program that you can run straight from Google Chrome, your browser, and you can run the robots on stocks, FX, and crypto straight from your browser, no VPS required. That's called the Algo Suite. I'm very excited about that. But for now, every single person in the program starts with MT4, Metatrader 4, and starts with currencies, and then we can move on to stocks, crypto, and all kinds of other financial instruments, including futures. This is a big deal and is costing a ton of money to develop, and you will see very simple charts with almost no indicators, and you will see for all the financial instruments, and then you will be able to choose the robots you want to run, and you can run them straight from your web browser, and if you close your web browser, it will still be running. No VPSs. We're going to put the VPS people out of business. And we're going to run this, and the reason we're going to do this is to make it easy and accessible to all mankind. Everybody. Everybody ought to be able to do this. How hard is this to learn? I would call this moderate. It's moderately difficult. It's moderately difficult to learn how to use a robot. Listen, it's not for everybody. If you're lazy, not for you. If you complain a lot, not for you. If you're a jerk, this is not for you. If you don't want to put some work into it, then forget about it to begin with, because it does take some time to learn. And if you don't know how to use a computer, this is not a good idea for you, right? Wait till the Algo Suite comes out. How much money can you make with robots? And this is the big, right? This is the big question. So I think the goal of every single trader in the world ought to be 1 to 3% per month, publish their track record, and then where it is legal and compliant to do so, raise capital. You can do this outside of the United States on DarwinX, on social trading platforms. And if you live inside the US, I have a program where I fund traders, meaning I give you access to a trading account with a bunch of money in it, and then the members of my trading family retain 90% or more of the profits that are made in that trading account. But it all starts with being able to make and keep 1 to 3% a month. And that starts with making $1 and keeping it over the course of a week. And nobody wants to do this because everybody is greedy. And so 1 out of 1,000 traders will do this, and that's why most people fail. Isn't because, well, the reason isn't because they're no good, it's because they're just too greedy. Most people won't do this. So that's how much. Can you make more than that? Oh, yes. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about making more. Now, what about stocks? So you're watching this and you're like, I really want to trade robots with stocks. I already have robots that run on TradeStation and NinjaTrader. And you can run those on stocks and futures right now. They're already inside the membership areas on my website. So we already built these. These already exist, and we're only going to add more. I don't use them at all right now, though. So in the interest of full disclosure, but the robot we're going to talk about today, it's built for these platforms, and you can run it on stocks and futures if you want. So I do talk about both, but specifically today, I think everyone should start with FX, because you can start trading a robot with a $100 trading account, because all trading involves a substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all people. This is a great way to get started with a small amount of money, and then you can graduate to higher priced things. Also, stocks and futures have commission costs that make robotic trading a little bit more difficult, and they have the pattern day trader rule, so you can't get in and out of the market really quickly without racking up commissions and violating the pattern day trader rule. Okay, doesn't mean I hate stocks, it just means it's for larger trading accounts. Let's talk about a bunch of things. Number one, let's talk about schedule. You need 10 minutes a day after you're up and running and have learned how to do it. You need about a month to go through the lessons, and then you need about 10 minutes a day. If you're spending more than 10 to 15 minutes a day on your robots, you're not the owner of the restaurant, you're working in the restaurant again. Number two, you have to have a routine. What this means is when you spend those 10 minutes, you have to check the robots and then follow a step-by-step process after you've checked them, which we will talk about today. And that step-by-step process is the process by which you manage your robot employees. So one of the problems with discretionary trading is it can lead to all kinds of craziness, right? It can lead to, I'm going to pull up the charts, I'm going to see what's going on. I'm going to trade whatever I see. I'm going to plan some trades. I'm going to open up the chart and plan some trades. And there's not really a process to it. And as disciplined as we would like to become, most of us are not disciplined, and most of us will follow a different process every time. So we want to get into the habit of saying exactly what we do and how we do it. And I want to show you what my process is. I've never really documented it as honestly and transparently as I'm going to do it today. Last of all, before we dive into this, and we'll have time for all of your questions in just a moment, last of all, it's patience versus greed. Most people watch what I do and they go, okay, so Rob's advocating starting with robots and making $1 in a week and keeping it, or 1 to 3% a month. And then they laugh at me, and then they move on. And they say, well, I don't really want to do that. What I want to do, and the other choice I have, is big money. And this is the trade-off that they see. They see, well, I could do what Rob says to do, and so I could just go for 1% a month or 2% a month, or I could go for the big money. And they say that's the trade-off. That's the comparison here. And what they don't realize is it's not really the difference between small, consistent gains and huge, big money. The trade-off is between small, consistent gains and zero/margin call. You either can make small amounts of money and compound those gains over time, or you can choose to go for broke and margin call your account. And listen, I got no judgment here. It's whatever you want it to be. And people get mad because there's got to be a middle ground. No, there's really not. 1 out of 100,000 traders that goes for big money will make it. Period. That's it. That's the number. It's not better than that, ever. And it could be that good temporarily. You can have a run of 1 or 2 weeks where you make a lot of money. But then inevitably the emotion of trading big money catches up with us, and then everything goes downhill. So what I want to do is I want to show you my routine, show you the robot. You already know about the robot, but I want to show you the routine and the robot and talk to you about what I do. So I'm going to pull up my virtual private server. So in order to run a robot right now, in the future it won't be necessary, but in order to run a robot right now, you need to have a VPS. And what I want to do is pull up the full screen. So that is Metatrader 4. You can see my account number, which is probably not a good idea. And you can see the IP address of my server, probably not a good idea. Probably need to start protecting that a little bit better. Okay. And then in the bottom right corner, you can see this weird profit info indicator. If someone watching this video can help me fix this text size, I will gladly pay you for your time. But for some reason, my Metatrader is all jacked up, and that profit info indicator just looks weird. This is Metatrader 4 and a VPS. I'm going to give a brief overview of what that means. Metatrader 4 is the world's most popular robotic trading platform for currency traders. It is actually the world's most popular trading platform, period. End of story in any financial instrument. Close second is Thinkorswim. By the way, Thinkorswim does not allow robotic trading. You cannot trade with robots on Thinkorswim. I wish it were possible, but it is not. Okay, Metatrader 4 is a Windows program, and you can drag a robot onto the screen, and then the robot will run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, as long as Metatrader is open, Metatrader is running on a Windows computer. And that's why we use what is called a virtual private server. A virtual private server is this window right here. It is a full Windows computer running at some server farm in some city somewhere. And this is my own Windows computer sitting there. Now you could keep a Windows computer turned on all the time, and that would be an adequate solution. But I just run this in the cloud so it never turns off. What you do is you download a robot to your computer. You open up your data folder in Metatrader, and then you put that robot inside the MQL folder, inside the experts folder, and that's where it resides. Robots in Metatrader are called expert advisors. And once you do that and you hit refresh in Metatrader in the navigator window, you can see your robot right there. There's the Finch. That's the one we're going to talk a little bit about today. And as long as I drag this over onto the screen, that robot will turn on. Now we'll talk about optimal settings and stuff like that for the robot tomorrow or in the next video. But that's the basics. You get a file, you download it to your computer, you open up a folder, you put it in the folder, you drag it onto the screen, and then your robot is running. And we'll follow up with more videos about this. And for those of you that are members, you've got that full robot certification class already in your members library. Okay? So that's the basics. That's what it is. There's a Windows program, there's a robot file, you drag it onto the screen, and then every day you manage it. So here it is, I'm going to manage the robot. So I open up the screen and I look at my screen and I go, oh, okay, it's pink. My screen turns pink when all of my trades have closed profitably. So I go into Properties, Green on Black, and I change the color of the screen back to the background of dark. Now I also run lots of different currency pairs at the same time. So these are all the currency pairs I run with the robot. Australian dollar, US dollar, pound dollar, dollar CAD, New Zealand dollar, Euro pound, pound Aussie, Euro Aussie, dollar Swiss, New Zealand Swiss, Aussie Swiss, New Zealand CAD, pound CAD, Aussie CAD, Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, CAD Swiss, Euro CAD, Euro New Zealand. Pause the video and take a screenshot and you'll know all the currency pairs I like to trade with the robot. Okay, so those are all the ones I trade with the robot. Now let's just talk about what the robot's doing. On each one of these currency pairs, on a 1-minute chart, the market is going up and down all day long. When it reaches a low point, the robot buys. When it reaches a high point, the robot sells, and on it goes. And that's called the Finch. Now, a lot of people have a lot of things to say about this robot in particular, but I've added something to the robot that I really like, and I call it honeymoon. When I went on my honeymoon 2 years ago, we were super happy, and we still are, and we were on our honeymoon, and people say, oh, you're in the honeymoon phase. That's when everything's going great, everything's wonderful, and nothing seems like it will ever go wrong. I noticed that when the Finch robot runs on the 1-minute charts, and it has no open trades, and it can start from scratch, it goes into like a honeymoon phase where everything's great and it closes a bunch of winning trades. So what I do is every single day, multiple times a day, I close all the trades out in the account. It opens up brand new ones. I close all of them again. It opens up brand new ones, and it's always starting fresh, and it's always going on a honeymoon. So it's always happy. And so I'm closing lots of losing trades, and I'm making very, very, very small, consistent gains. About 1 to 2 to 3% per month. Right now in the upper left-hand corner, you can barely see it. It's at, I'm on a monthly average of 1.17%. And I run the Finch robot in a $10,000 account and in a $167,000 account with all of the same adjusted trade sizes. Now we're going to talk about trade sizes and settings and all those kinds of things in our next video, but these are the basics. This is what I'm doing. People ask about stop losses. Stop losses on this robot, it closes all trades, losing ones included, multiple times every day. And so the maximum drawdown that this robot is ever experiencing is 1 to 3% total account balance. So at a maximum in a $10,000 account, about a $300 drawdown at the worst. For those of you watching on YouTube, we'll be back tomorrow or the next day with video number 2, which is basically an overview of the settings I like and what it means for me to check on the Honeymoon Finch robot. Thanks everyone. Bye for now. See you soon.